Welcome to the night's edition of the Klown Hour podcast. I'm Scott Burks, your host. Hey, and this is my co-host, Dwayne Nash. Please check him out on the yards at HBCU Sports. He's smiling again, where he raps about all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy Radio, otherwise known as SLZE Radio, every Tuesday on Facebook Live. Check him, the coach, Sweet Lou out. You'd be glad you did. And his great work on herosports.com, where he raps about all things FCS athletics as it pertains to HBCUs. You see the website here for me, theclowntimes.net. Oh yeah, get some merch too. Cafe Press I got now that we're on the subject. Search for the Klown Times Sports. You find a link in the description once you get this baby uploaded to YouTube sometime tomorrow afternoon. And also hit the subscribe button, please. So subscribe, because either like, share, and comment. Just say whatever, do whatever. It'll help us out. You know, and it'll help you out as well, because you get to continue to see, get more cool content from us, and you know, whatever tomfoolery we're up to, so you get to see that as well. All right, so I got this brother below me. He was on last week talking about Cincinnati sports. There's a lot of shit going on. You see, he's trolling the hell out of me because his beloved Bengals pimp slapped my Steelers in Heinz Field for their first win since 2015 in Pittsburgh. So they've essentially, in the first time in almost a damn near dog year, won 2 in a row in a series against us, going back to last season when they thumped their asses on Monday night. So they're still mad at us.
Ryan Finley!
The immortal Ryan Finley last year on Monday night dealt the almost a death blow in terms of divisional title hopes in Cincinnati that won fifth night in Monday Night Football. Then Joe Burrow came back in. I'm happy for the brother. He played well. He's got his swag back. As long as his line continues to block for him, you're going to see more of this. And by the way, you remember that young man, Jamar Chase, the one accused of having drop C's during the regular season, during the preseason?
Man, Butterfingers.
Yeah, he caught 2 touchdown passes, 4 receptions in all for 65 yards. And Joe Mixon did a damn thing with 90 yards on the ground and on 18 carries. And I mentioned Burrow early with 3 touchdowns and the 1 pick that, you know, that came very early in the game. But my quarterback, Large Benjamin, a.k.a. Ben Roethlisberger, returned the favor that led to Cincinnati's first touchdown. But anyway, I'm going to give my man, my frat brother, my ace on our line, time to gloat, because, quite frankly, from all the shit he's received from me and other Steelers fans everywhere, he deserves the time to gloat. So Dre, the floor is yours, brother. Just go ahead.
I'm gonna start with this.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Oh my God!
Is there a mute button over here? Is there a mute somewhere?
Oh my God! Yo!
Woo! I take you back, D. I know.
Yes, you did.
You reminiscing right now. I know
yes.
you are.
Yes,
because that's how long it feels like it's been since we've been.
Oh,
fair enough.
man.
Fair enough, brother. Fair enough.
Look here, man. So when I was on last week,
excuse me,
D, you specifically asked me. You said, Dre, how many points will it take for Cincinnati to beat Pittsburgh? Do you remember what I told you?
You told
20,
me
I
was
said
it 20, right?
20 points. 20 to 10, we would have doubled them up anyway.
Right.
We went 24. One easy.
Yeah. And wasn't even that close. It wasn't
no,
close to the
really
final score. It was a thumping.
It really was not that close. It was, I can say this, as a Bengals fan and knowing the years of hardship that I've been through as in that fan base, we were up, I think at one point like 17 in the third or fourth quarter.
24-7, yes.
And I was like, man, I wonder if there's a way we're gonna lose this game. Like if Ben gets a touchdown on this, if Ben gets a touchdown on this drive, and then
if you start doing the math in your head and you start equating on how it can happen,
No, seriously, I am not kidding. That's how scarred I am from the years of just like, well, here we go. Here come the Steelers. But it was refreshing to see that once they took control, they didn't give it back.
Right.
Right. Like they
Sure
just
didn't.
they just didn't give it back. That defense is ridiculous. That front line, I think it's the 7th highest paid front line, defensive line in the league. They made their money on Sunday, right? They kept Ben in the pocket. They didn't let, I think Najee Harris had something like, what, 40 yards?
40 yards on the ground, yeah.
Yeah, 40 yards
Bad
on the
offensive
ground.
line, too.
Now he caught over 100 yards worth of passes, but it was on like 13 or 14 passes because that was the extension of the run game because they could not run the ball, period.
Right.
So if you're going to average, 8 yards a catch to a running back, I'm okay with that. And then at the end of the game to throw a check down on 4th down, it's like 4th and 10 from the 11, and you throw a 7-yard check down from behind the line of scrimmage. Y'all quit. I'm gonna tell you, because like my boy Tyler Boyd said,
I was about to get to that. Yeah.
They quit. I mean, tell me another time where Ben Roethlisberger doesn't drop back, take that ball, and throw it in the end zone. Why are we a swing pass to a running back? Come on, man. They were like, nah, this game's over. Let's just get up out of here and we'll regroup for next week.
Yeah.
They asked Mike Tomlin about Tyler Boyd's comments.
Yeah, I heard.
He was like, I don't care what he has to say. We are just going to, they were a better team. They played hard, and we're going to move on to next week. Yeah, that means y'all quit. That's exactly what that means.
That's exactly what that means.
Translation. Yeah, he's right.
You quit.
And that's the saddest thing, brother, because, I mean, if you understand the rivalry, right? I mean, let's just go back to the 70s and the first part of the 80s, right? It was competitive. I mean, it wasn't a fierce rivalry per se. That became that way in the 2000s.
Yeah.
When they were competing for division.
It became kind of ugly in the 2000s, though.
Yeah, they really did.
I mean, legit. Like it was brutal to the point of crossing lines.
Right. Yes, on both sides. It started with Bynes Ward breaking the jaw.
Let me be very clear. Mostly on the Pittsburgh side. Because I can recount for you the number of injuries that Bengals players have sustained because of Pittsburgh. Can you recount for me the number of injuries Pittsburgh players have sustained because of Cincinnati players?
Vontaze.
Who did he hurt? Yeah, he hurt Antonio Brown. Mm-hmm. I'm still waiting. Okay, so you broke Keith Rivers' jaw, you broke Kevin Huber's jaw, you put Giovanni Bernard out of the game in the playoff game, you broke Carson Palmer. Like I can go on and on and on about the number of
Chris Henry in the same play,
right?
Yeah.
Like I can go on and on and on about the number of times that Pittsburgh has done things to the Bengals, and the Bengals have always been that team to be like, we're just gonna keep working hard, and we stay above board, and we're a bunch of really good guys who play good football, and if you play good football, you're gonna win your share of games. Screw that, man. Hit that dude in the mouth. Last year when Von Bell hit Juju in the mouth, and I'm talking MOUF, he hit him in the mouth. Because that's what you need to do. Again, when you have a bully, the only way to beat a bully is to out-bully the bully.
Right. Knock him in the mouth.
That's the only way you're going to do it.
Knock him in the mouth.
Exactly. You're still the little brother, and we're still going to I'm going to just keep pushing. I'm going to keep poking. I'm going to keep poking because you ain't going to do nothing about it anyway.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So we had a conversation with our frat brothers where one of my frat brothers was like, no, he shouldn't have said that. Tyler Boyd shouldn't have said they quit. And this, because next time you play him, they gonna punch you in the mouth and get his head knocked in.
I mean, you expect that anyway.
Like we were doing that anyway. Right? Every year, somebody getting broke, getting hurt, getting beat up, and we got to take the loss. Screw that, man. Flip that script. Let's go.
And this is interesting because we'll get to the Steelers in a minute, but now the AFC North has almost always been competitive, right? So now we all know that it's been assumed anyway by the prognosticators out there that the division is going to come out between the old Browns and the new Browns, right? Baltimore and Cleveland, respectively. Right. Now you have these wrinkles. Like the wrinkle is it's always going to be like that third team is going to be in there trying to just going to make a say, put its own stamp, right? Send its own message. But people didn't realize it may be Cincinnati.
Yeah,
it's going to be doing that because I've always said this time and time again, especially the last few years, especially this year. You guys are talented at the skill position.
Yes.
As long as you guys got a halfway decent offensive line.
Yep.
That's what's holding y'all really back. Your defense is playing very well. Right? The money y'all invested, as you said it earlier, in the front four alone.
Yep.
It's paying off. It looks like it's paying off, right? So that's good. That's good news there. You still have Von Bell's still there, right?
Oh yeah.
So you still got Cass's secondary, laying the wood. You got a front four that's worth a damn. So now you shift to the offensive side. You have young studs at the skill position players. Joe Mixon can tote the rock. Of course, Burrow, when he's healthy and upright, has a swag and can sling it around. He's the real. I said last year, he's the real deal. You just gotta protect him. And you guys finally have some weapons on the perimeter that Jamar Chase, that pick is playing off because he's your deep threat. And he discovered how to catch again.
He's everything that they hoped and prayed John Ross would be. Right? When they drafted John Ross, it was, oh, that's our speed dude to take the team, right? You got AJ Green, as he gets older, probably becomes more of a possession receiver, you know, big catch radius, all of those things. You got Tyler Boyd in the slot. And then you put John Ross on the outside to just light defenses on fire, right? And that's why you drafted him. And then he was terrible. He couldn't catch a ball and he couldn't stay healthy. Right? Those two things.
Right.
They went out and got Jamar Chase, and Jamar Chase is absolutely everything that John Ross wasn't, and has a little bit of cockiness and swagger about him that John Ross never had. Right? Like, I know I'm good. I don't give a damn what you say. I know I'm good.
Right.
Matter of fact, I know I'm so good, I'm gonna be the first number one in franchise history.
That's right.
There's never been another number one in the franchise. I'm a number one. I'm gonna be the first number one. Matter of fact, when I come in, I'm breaking all the records. Let's go.
But right? do you think that that's part of John Ross being a Husky coming from Washington, and that probably not being ingrained in him? And then Jamar Chase is from where again?
LSU.
I know he went to LSU. I'm not sure where his hometown is.
No, I mean more so from the institution that he went to. So he played ball at LSU, national champion at LSU,
setting records at LSU,
setting records at LSU with his boy, and you dominate Alabama while you're doing it, right? So you have the right to go ahead and beat your chest. You know, you got Washington who was happy to be in the playoffs, and you know they got through the Pac-12, but. You know, it's not to say that Pac-12 guys can't come through with swagger, right?
Sure.
But you know, I'm just.
But if I'm coming from LSU, I'm setting records. I'm winning national championships. I'm going undefeated, and then I walk into my first real NFL game, and I'm catching 50-yard bombs for touchdowns where I leave cornerbacks in my wake like I did at LSU. I'm like, oh, let's go, baby. Yeah, it's game time. It's game time. I think he is one of, it's either 2 or 3 wide receivers in the history of the game. So, I mean, we talking some big time wide receivers have played this game. He's one of 2 or 3 wide receivers in the history of the game to have 4 touchdowns in their first 3 games.
Yeah. And the thing is, again, you mentioned earlier with AJ Green and Tyler Boyd. Still got Tyler Boyd in the slot, but you also have the T. Higgins from Clemson, who looks like it's going to be another real deal.
Yep.
So I heard he's going to change the number from 85, though. Is that correct?
I think the plan is, or what he would like to do, is switch to number 5, which is what he was in college.
Right.
Now, with the way the NFL does it, is like you got to buy up the rest of the stock if you want that to happen. So depending upon how many T. Higgins jerseys there are out there and how much that's going to cost him, he may stay 85 for a little while.
Right. I got you.
I might have to wait for that second contract.
There you go. Fair enough. But my point is, I mentioned that young man because, I mean, he was a player last year, right? Before Joe Burrow went down, and after, I mean, he still played well.
Yeah. I mean, he had 960, 980 yards somewhere in there, and really only played, 12 games, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the kid's legit.
And so you got that with the reliable Tyler Boyd, the shit talking Tyler Boyd, to go with Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon in the backfield. You need a damn line.
Yeah.
That's what Pittsburgh is finding out. We got Najee Harris, who has the makings of a stud in the backfield.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a line to open holes and protect Big Ben, so he won't have a happy feet and throw 7 down checkdowns on 4th and 10, what the hell are you gonna do?
Yeah.
The hell? And I ain't even mentioned the injuries on defense, but really, it's frustrating. I get the line for Pittsburgh is young, but you in the NFL, bruh.
Yeah.
You gotta protect. Look at Cincinnati's line. They're young too.
Yep.
But doing a better job protecting their quarterback. That comes down to desire and coaching.
Yep.
Right? So right now, to Tyler Boyd's point, watching the game, like I said, the game was far worse than the final score indicated. We just got to ask.
Yeah. I mean,
legitimately,
when it comes down to it, the Bengals went up and punched Pittsburgh in the mouth, and Pittsburgh didn't have a response.
Correct. So now, if you're looking at the next game this coming weekend, you guys get Jacksonville tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
That's a W. That should be a W.
It better.
I'll tell you what, that's the sign of y'all taking the next step.
Yep.
If you guys don't don't have a hangover from beating Big Brother's ass on the road, and take care of business against a team that had no business staying with you, that's when you know you're taking the next step.
Beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Correct.
Right? Like, the Bengals don't make the schedule.
Right.
But you need to beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Right.
I just said that very thing last night.
Right. The Bengals haven't been, I think they're a 7.5 point favorite. They haven't been a 7.5 point favorite or more since it's either 2015 or 2017, one of those two. So, I mean, Vegas is like, y'all should whoop that ass.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, anything over a touchdown, you got your butt kicked. And so the Bengals need to come out, do what they're supposed to do. They got some injuries. They got some things that, some folks that are going to be out. Their starting corner, Chidobe Awuzie is going to be out. Jesse Bates is going to be out. T. Higgins will probably be out. So there's some key pieces that they're going to be missing. With that being said, that front seven is healthy and ready to go on the defensive side. You still got Jamar Chase, you still got Joe Burrow, you still got Joe Mixon, you still got Tyler Boyd on the offensive side. You got no business losing to a team that's lost by double digits the first 3 games of the season. You got no business doing it. Right. As talented as Trevor Lawrence is, he has 7 interceptions and 2 fumbles. So he's got 9 turnovers in the first 3 games. You got no business losing to that dude, right?
Yeah, and it shouldn't be close. And if it's close, that should be disappointing. That should be disappointing. It shouldn't be. Yeah,
look, I will never look a gift W in the mouth.
Sure.
Right? I'm going to take all the W's. If they win by 1 because Evan McPherson hit a 57-yard field goal in the last seconds of the game, I'm going to be like, I'm real disappointed.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And let's talk about it on the way home, celebrating this W. But outside of that, like, you gotta take advantage of this, man. This is your time to make a move and to be relevant. If you look at their schedule, they've got in the next 5 games, They play 3 teams who are currently, as of today, 0-3. So you got to beat. You got Jacksonville right now. You got the Jets are on there and the Lions. Those are 3 teams you should beat. Right. And even if you lose to Baltimore and you lose to Green Bay, that currently has you sitting at 5-3 at the halfway point. Come on. Beat who you're supposed to beat. Be competitive with those other teams. You mess around and beat a Baltimore. You mess around and beat a Green Bay because it's at the crib. Like, come on. That's what we got to do. Come on.
Yeah. And you guys have fared well. Yeah, I would say most years against Baltimore, you pretty much own Baltimore. It's a weird dynamic.
With the exception of the Lamar Jackson era.
Well,
Lamar Jackson came in.
Sans Lamar Jackson, that should be clear. Sans Lamar Jackson's spin move and Paul Brown 2 years ago. When he won his MVP.
That was 2019. My God, I remember watching that game in the sports bar.
Epic spin move. It was on here, obviously. It was that spin move was epic. I'm sorry. He still using that spin move like. But the point is that years before Lamar Jackson, it was a weird dynamic. You guys practically own Baltimore. We will go back and forth for Baltimore. We own Cleveland. Everybody own Cleveland, but we will own Cleveland, and we had our share of success against you guys. So it was just a weird dynamic, right? And it's just weird like that, but. Point is that you guys, I figured this day would come because you guys got the talent. You're young and ascending. With now Cleveland and Baltimore about to peak.
Yeah,
I can't believe I'm saying about Cleveland, about them peaking, but they are. They're unfortunately for us, they're good.
I mean, when you have a top 5 pick for 10 years in a row, you ought to be good at some point, right?
At some point, it should be bound to happen. All of them can't be bad picks. Right. All of them can't be. No, not when you got the number 1 pick. When you had the top 3 pick for 15 years in a row, dude. At some point, it should click.
Yeah, it should. It's like the law of averages, right? I mean, you're bound to hit on something unless you're horrible at drafting,
which they have been. Yes. But even if being horrible at drafting, you should still have a handful of those dudes like, oh, Myles Garrett. Oh, he was just there. We had nobody else to take him. We needed him and he was there. Cool. Mm-hmm. Yes. And he's phenomenal. He should be. You keep picking in the top 5.
Yeah. So right quick before I head to talk about UC and Notre Dame, which is a huge game this weekend on a variety of levels. Dre, just give me your main. I know the season is very young in the NFL, but what sticks out outside of the Bengals? What sticks out so far? Good, bad, or indifferent?
So probably number 1, I had my doubts about how well Matt Stafford would play in LA with McVay, right? Yeah. I hoped that he would play well because the narrative was always, well, he's in Detroit and Detroit was kind of holding him back. Right. From a talent perspective, and you could absolutely see that they didn't really know what the hell they were doing, right? But I'm pleasantly surprised to see him go out to LA and have as much success as he's had. Yeah. Tom Brady is just ridiculous, and I for one, I had New England's defense in fantasy football. I immediately dropped them this week because I'm quite sure Tom Brady's going to throw for about 765,000 yards, 42 touchdowns. I want no parts of New England's defense this week. Sorry about your luck. Not happening. And then, Chucky and the Raiders. The Raiders.
Bruh.
The Raiders.
Him and the Broncos, man. They look great.
Yeah, they look fantastic. And for as much as was made about Chucky not liking Carr, like Carr's put on a show.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that dynamic seems to have worked itself out.
Not just that. Remember how just 2 years ago, right? He was called a big dummy, or was it 3 years ago? Either way, this has been within the past 3 years. He was called a big dummy for getting rid of Khalil Mack.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, let that fruit, let the pizza cook.
Right.
See how this handles itself out, right? And yes, it's easy to criticize him in year one.
Sure.
But if he go ahead and get the draft picks that he wants to get, then he brings in the pieces that he wants to get, thanks to that Khalil Mack deal. Because what? The defense that year that he got rid of him was ranked 28th. What were they ranked when they had him?
They still have a pass rush. Right. He still have a pass rush. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I can get something for him and improve the squad, why not?
Exactly.
Somehow hindsight is so 2020, right? Because looking at it now and thinking, oh, okay, but obviously everybody and their mama just crucified Gruden for making the trade, and yours truly did too. I'll be real.
Yeah.
So, but the NFL, generally speaking, is better when the Raiders are good.
Yep.
When the Cowboys, unfortunately, are good.
Yep.
When
I mean, let's be clear. When the Steelers are good.
Yeah.
When the Browns are good.
Yeah. Those are your brands.
I mean, like when those teams are good because of their fan bases.
Yeah.
It just makes the league that much more fun to watch.
Right.
It really does.
Yeah,
right.
It's really 5 teams. The Raiders, Cowboys, Niners, Packers, Steelers.
Yeah. Those are your brands.
For sure.
And then if you want to throw the Giants in there, because of course that New York market, you can go ahead and throw them in there too. But those are your 5.
Right. And so we may, at least from the Raiders standpoint, we may get that. They look great.
They do.
There's nothing fluky about that 3-0, folks. They look damn good. So it's gonna be fun. I think they hook up with Denver pretty soon. So sooner rather than later. So it's gonna be my main thing right quick before we move on.
Yeah.
I know it's early, but Kansas City's 1-2. Now,
they're a fumble away from being 2-1, though.
That's true. So that's why I said it's too early. The AFC West is bananas. It's gonna be bananas. So it's gonna be great. So real quick on the University of Cincinnati, Notre Dame, NBC, I think 3:30 on NBC. Both teams undefeated. I think Cincinnati is ranked.
Both teams top 10, 7 and 9.
Yeah, both teams are top 10.
7 and 9. Yep. I was about to think about the rankings. So this is a huge game. Cincinnati is a higher ranked team in this matchup. So this is going to be huge.
Notre Dame is a home dog in Vegas.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they're a home dog.
I did not know that.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow. Now, would this work against UC's favor?
Nah.
If they were to win it, like by the CFP College Football Playoff Committee.
Oh, you mean in the posters? Yeah. For some, I'm telling you. What I actually predicted last week was like Notre Dame is going to go in and lose to Wisconsin, fall to like 24, and then UC would beat them, and they were like, "Oh, it didn't count because nobody cares." Like, oh, come on, man. But no, so I was super pumped that they beat Wisconsin.
They thumped them.
They
thumped them.
The score dictated that they thumped them. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty close game until like the fourth quarter.
Well, turnovers,
exactly. The turnovers led to the blowout.
It was pretty. The outcome was in question going into the fourth quarter.
That's true. That's true. Because the two pick sixes took place in the fourth quarter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was a 7-point game at the time, wasn't it?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like the outcome was still like it's anybody's game at this point. But yeah, so I think one thing to the Bearcats' benefit was playing that game at Indiana before playing this game at Notre Dame, right? Mm-hmm. Because that gave them the on the road, big environment, better program from a Big Ten program versus an AAC program, and facing that adversity of going down early, being able to be like, being able to be like, fellas, we're the better team. Let's go win this game. And to flip that and win by 14 in the end, like, okay, cool. So I think having that experience will really serve UC well this coming Saturday.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, Dwayne, I wish you were here, brother. This place is going to be, this is going to be bananas this weekend.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
I mean, this is it. This is
Yeah.
This is it. I mean, this is what this fan base has been clamoring for. This is what
we just want a shot.
Right? Yeah, dudes want a shot. We want a shot at a blue blood. That you guys giving playoff favorites, if you will, right now. I mean, it's a true blue blood, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And we had that, they gave us a shot with the scheduling. I guess that's a Brian Kelly special, right? And it's going to be very, very interesting. I mean, people are pumped here. They're pumped. The group of five world, if you will, is going to be paying as much attention because this is the shot. It's not the playoff.
We're just going to be like
the shot,
man. Like every group of five team is going to be rooting for Cincinnati.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Right? Like, because you're the team that can open that door where no one else has been given the opportunity. Cincinnati comes into the season ranked high enough to be able to kick that door open. Now, will they? Who knows? Will they be allowed to? Who knows? But this is probably the most substantial argument that any group of five team, if they run the table, most substantial argument that any group of five team will have had to this point.
Right.
Most definitely. Because you're looking at two SEC teams that are ahead of them and they face this week, right?
Yep.
So if Cincinnati's capable of winning big, they can most definitely leapfrog them. And isn't there at least two other teams from the same conference that are ahead of them as well?
Trying to remember who's all in front. I gotta probably look that up.
Because I know it's Alabama, Arkansas, not in this order though, but Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma. Yes, it's two. I think it's two Big Ten teams. Iowa and who else from the Big Ten is ahead of them?
Ahead of who again? I'm sorry.
Ahead of Cincinnati.
Okay. Ohio State is what? They're below Cincinnati.
Yeah, they're like 9, I think, or 10.
So basically, you have Iowa's 5, right? Iowa's 5.
Uh-huh.
I think that's it, right? Because Michigan is below UC too as well, if I'm not mistaken. I think they are. I'm pretty sure they are. So basically, the other highly ranked team.
There you go.
Penn State.
You got Alabama, Georgia,
right?
Oregon, Penn State, Iowa. So Penn State
and Iowa.
Penn State and Iowa, Oklahoma, Cincinnati.
Yeah. So Iowa and Penn State will at one point have to face one another. So if things go right, Cincinnati goes undefeated. They most definitely take care of work against Notre Dame and do it convincingly. Yeah. And I say at least 7 points or more. Yeah. Right. And then when those other two teams drop, they should most definitely be a candidate for the playoffs.
Yeah. They'll end up somehow, some way, they'll end up at number 5.
You say that, right? But God, I'm laughing, but I don't want to laugh because Dre has a point. Yeah. And oh my God, I really don't want to be mad in December if it happens. I'm not going to say when. I'm going to say if it happens. I'm holding on to hope that it does not. But this Saturday is the opportunity for them to go ahead and allow things to take care of itself if they can go ahead and take care of Saturday and win out the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's the key. Win out. You got to take care of.
Look, we're not having this discussion, and there's no point to even have this discussion if UC doesn't run the table.
Correct.
Right? Because the level of competition they play the rest of this year, there just aren't quality wins left on the schedule, right? Correct. And so if every team that they play from here on out, they're going to be favored to win that game. And if
by a lot,
for whatever reason, they trip up and don't do it, then we ain't got nothing to talk about.
Right.
Simple as that. I mean, Alabama could lose to, and I'm just making some up, Alabama could lose to Tennessee, but then they still got Georgia. They still got Arkansas. They still got, you still got all of these other opportunities to rebuild that resume to get you back to where you need to be. If Cincinnati comes in, beats Indiana, beats Notre Dame, but then messes around and loses to Houston, nobody cares.
Right.
Like, good run, good shot. We'll see y'all next year. Like,
yeah.
You know,
and that's the thing.
We'll see you in the toilet bowl.
Because, this is a year of chaos, right?
Yeah.
Clemson sucks. all of a sudden. The ACC stinks. Like,
there will be no ACC participant in the playoffs.
No. It's a wrap for the ACC. That got eliminated early. Well, your highest ranked team is 23rd in the nation in NC State. Yeah, you ain't getting anywhere. And also Wake Forest and Boston College are your only undefeated team so far.
Really?
So Boston College plays at Clemson this week. So who the hell knows? Also, I'm not too big on the Pac-12 yet, because the team in Washington was supposed to be Oregon's biggest threat in the Northern Division, got beat by FCS squad at home.
Yep.
So they ain't it. So I mean, Oregon's talented. They did a damn thing in Columbus against Ohio State.
Yes, I did.
No shame. I shouldn't say shame, but nothing. That's nothing to
not taking anything away from them.
None. They're legit. I'm just saying the Pac-12 has been historically very competitive in the cannibalistic way. They beat each other up badly, and to the point where you don't have I don't know if UCLA they're better, but they're not as talented on paper as USC. USC is just disappointing us. They got blown out again. So I mean, it's you can't really tell in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Now I will say this. The way it's shaping up right quick, you're going to have two teams in the SEC again. No one's beating Alabama. Georgia looks legit on defense alone. Yeah. And Florida's not that bad. Arkansas's damn sure not that bad. It's a lot of these surprises. And Ole Miss is pretty good. So this is why the SEC is going to get some love, and rightfully so. So what it basically comes out to is the SEC getting one or two teams, the Big Ten making some noise. The ACC is out. So basically going to come down to, is anyone from the Pac-12 going to trip up, and that will open the door for UC. If UC does what's supposed to do. Yep. Yeah. After winning in Notre Dame, if they do win in Notre Dame, then it's crazy.
Look, it's a very, very big game this weekend.
Yes.
It's probably, it might be the biggest regular season game that UC has ever had in the history of the program.
Yeah.
I mean, sounds about right.
There have been super important games, when they beat Rutgers or when they beat Pitt, go to the Orange Bowl or go to the Sugar Bowl. Like those are really big wins to be able to step out on those stages and on those venues. Neither one of those teams were ranked in the top 10, and UC wasn't ranked in the top 10. So to have the opportunity to say, hey, we control our own destiny, and to punch that ticket, whether no matter how temporarily it may be, they mess around and from 7 and beat number 9. I mean, you could jump up a couple, 2-3 spots pretty easily, right? And then it would be about maintaining and, quite frankly, handling your business to the point of, all right, we could probably got to blow cats out, because what will happen is they'll mess around, they'll beat Notre Dame, they'll move up to 4, they'll let you play with it for a couple of weeks, and then you only beat SMU by 9. When the spread was 14, and then we'll drop you to 5, and then we'll drop you to 6. And by the time the season's over, you're right back in that little 7-8 range, although you haven't lost a game all season, but you had a couple of really close ones that you probably should have been better at. And
that's the committee. That's the committee.
So ridiculous.
Well, the good news is, brother, if it's either next year or the year after next, you don't have to worry about that problem anymore, because y'all going to the Big 12. You got your foot in the door.
That's why it's fun to talk about. That's why it's fun to talk about this year, because I know that regardless of what happens, there's light at the end of that tunnel, right?
Right.
Like it would be a shame to be, UCF and go undefeated 2 years in a row and know that you really don't have a legit shot. Not really. Right. And that shot is not coming anytime soon.
Yeah.
For UC, you mess around and you do run the table and they leave you at 5 or 6, you can be like, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay.
2 years, right? And then you can't deny me.
Right.
So come on.
Right.
Yeah. But I would prefer it to be this year.
Me too.
Just to have one big squat on the committee.
Yep.
And be like, hey, what you gonna do now? Right. But God, oh my God. What's the name of the group that has a song called the committee likes to find a way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help me find a way. And the committee will find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll find a way.
That's a banging song, by the way. But anyway, all right, man. We'll get we'll close the segment right quick, and we'll be right back. Peace. All right, welcome back. Thank you again. Thanks again to my man Andre Airways. You catch this out on Twitter. I put his Twitter handle in the description when I upload this baby to YouTube. Come tomorrow afternoon. So. Always good and fun to talk to him about UC.
Always.
Cincinnati athletics pertains to UC, University of Cincinnati, for those you don't know, and the Bengals. Not much to talk about the Reds. They were officially eliminated from contention last night. So we didn't want to dampen the mood. We didn't want to dampen his trolling job with the Bengals jersey. So nice Bengals jersey at that. So
but you know what? I'm surprised that you didn't troll him for that. The way that you squatted on Cincinnati, the Reds in the beginning of the season, and trashed them. I was waiting for them to win the division so bad, just so I could tease you just a little bit. But the Reds, they did what
collapsed.
they did. And,
they collapsed.
Oh my God.
They were fine. They again, like I said, they not only passed and they passed San Diego, they damn near lapped.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden to have Team Cockroach, aka the St. Louis Cardinals, never could kill them.
Yeah.
They started winning, which what to respect because they're the St. Louis Cardinals, right? They're well-run organization, blah, blah, blah. But we didn't expect to see Cincinnati collapse the way they did.
No, not like that.
They went from being up 6 games in the wild card stands on the Cardinals. An afterthought. The Cardinals were an afterthought.
Yeah.
To the Cardinals just lapping them and leaving them. So it's just crazy. I feel bad for this fan base because this is a great baseball town. I mean, it really is. I mean, they've had the Bengals here, but it's a Reds town. It's a baseball town, and people are excited about FC Cincinnati, MLS squad, soccer squad, but it's a Reds town, and it's just feel bad for the fans. So anyway, that's another discussion for another time. We'll probably talk about it again next year when we preview the major leagues, have Andre back on and talk about his Reds, and it's a crazy cycle. But anyway, we're going to get into some HBCU sports. We hadn't been doing our part the last few weeks, but we're going to make up for it. So Dwayne, he has some HBCU tidbits. He's rocking the ASU hat, the Alabama State hat right there, Hornets in the house.
Yes.
So Dwayne, the floor is yours, brother.
Well, you know, we're still in the middle of the season right now. Well, not the middle. We're about to start week 5 come tomorrow. Prairie Very, I'm going to call them Prairie Very. A&M and Arkansas Pop. Yeah, I'm going to be real crazy. I've been messing up saying Prairie View A&M's name for the past few days. It's been wild, right? So Prairie View A&M, Arkansas Pine Bluff, they play this Thursday, ESPNU. Check them out. I know there's going to be an NFL game on, but hey, go ahead, peek on over there because you'll catch some good football. 2 good quarterbacks, Skylar Perry going up against Javon Pass. Javon Pass is a transfer from the University of Louisville. So, you know, he's coming over looking extremely well so far this season.
Puma Pass. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, you know, he's been looking good so far this season. After Arkansas Pine Bluff's big debacle last week of being up 23-7 in that game and then losing 36-35, if my math is correct.
Yes.
Yeah. They have a bad taste in their mouth and they need this win in order to stay pace with Alcorn, who looked real bad against North Carolina Central at the MEAC SWAC Challenge.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Questions, about whether or not they were going to be competitive this year. Dude, they put up over 330 yards, maybe 350 yards worth of offense in the second half alone. That might answer everyone's question on whether or not they're going to be competitive for the rest of the year or not. So it'll be real interesting to see what happens on Thursday whether or not Pine Bluff, who is currently in the lead in the West, with a record of 2-0 in the conference, if they can go ahead and extend that lead and stay perfect, or if Pine Bluff can go ahead chip into that lead, get a win, and then hope for some luck from Alcorn, probably taking a loss or two, where they're going to need 2 losses in order for them to advance as the division champs, or repeat as division champs for the second time in this year, because of course they were division champs during the spring. Right. So of course, several games going on this week. Got a couple of buys going on. Alcorn, Jackson State, and Southern, all those SWAC teams are currently on bye. You got old faces meeting as out of conference opponents this week with Bethune-Cookman facing South Carolina State.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, where I thought could have been a potential Celebration Bowl preview, but as Coach Buddy Pugh has referred to it as on Monday, he's calling it the Battle of the Offers, because both teams are currently winless. They have a combined title of a combined record of 0-7 right now. So whoever wins this game, of course, gets them the first win of the season.
Right.
But it'll probably be great carryover, more so for South Carolina State, as they look to get ready for MEAC competition within a few weeks. Then, of course, Hampton, Norfolk State, you got the Battle of Bay going on down there at Hampton. Norfolk State's coming off a big win. Hampton coming off a big win 2 weeks prior against Howard. So, of course, that was going to be a messy one down there. Then you got North Carolina Central and Mississippi Valley State. Central's coming off a big loss to rival North Carolina A&T after beating another rival, Winston-Salem State, the week prior. So, they probably have gone through an emotional roller coaster over the past 2 weeks. Now they got to travel down to Itabena, Mississippi to face a SWAC opponent who North Carolina Central coach Trey Oliver referred to as the best 0-4 team in the nation. And they actually looked pretty good this past Sunday when they played against Southern. So I'm going to be intrigued to see exactly what happens with this game, especially once again, the way North Carolina Central looked against Alcorn. Are they going to be capable of beating their second SWAC opponent in the same calendar year or no? So I'm intrigued to see what goes on with that. North Carolina A&T, they opened up their Big South Conference schedule against Robert Morris. It should be a game they should be able to win at the crib. And then you have a very interesting schedule going on in the MEAC, where it's 3 games of MEAC versus the Northeast Conference going on this weekend.
That's just interesting.
Yeah, and this is like the first time. I'm sorry?
Yeah, I said I'm pulling it up as you speak. Yeah, I'm pulling up the schedule. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? Because this isn't the first time that St. Francis played Morgan State earlier in the season. Sacred Heart. I'm sorry. Sacred Heart played against Morgan State. Yeah. And I think
they play Howard
St. Francis
too.
Was that?
They play Howard too, right? This weekend?
St. Francis played Howard last week.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of NEC, MEAC action going on this season. My guess is that the NEC probably has a few open dates, and with the MEAC losing members, that it was easy for them to go ahead and fill those dates with NEC opponents. And then another MEAC NEC conference game you got going on is Delaware State at Wagner.
Right.
Then, of course, Eddie George is still in search of his first OEC win. I don't know if he necessarily gets that this weekend as they travel to go face Austin P. And then, like I said before, you got a ton of SWAC games going on. UAPB versus Prairie View A&M on Thursday. Alabama A&M against Grambling on Saturday. As well on Saturday, Alabama State against Florida A&M. And then you got Texas Southern. Oh my God, these Bama's have been searching for a win since they're currently on a 19-game losing streak right now. So they're on looking for a win for the first time since 2018. Right. And this week it's their homecoming. They're playing against. Are you ready for this, Scott?
Hit me.
They're playing against North American. Do you know who North American is? Do you even know where North American is?
I have no idea where those guys are. Please
now,
educate
American me. University
is in DC.
the Cardinals, yes,
Yeah.
not the Cardinals. I'm sorry, the Cardinals are Catholic University, but yeah, American University, the Eagles, who don't have a football program, of course, are here in DC. North American is a Houston neighbor of Texas Southern. They're in the NAIA. Yes. So hopefully Texas Southern gets a win over the lowly NAIA opponent, North American, on their homecoming, because like I said before, they're riding a 19-game win streak. Oddly enough, their last win was a homecoming game. So yeah, hopefully they can go ahead and break that streak with the homecoming win. So yes, that's the slate for this upcoming week in Division 1. Division 2, of course, CIAA is deep in their conference play. Same thing with the SEAC. And oh my gosh, shout out to Langston. Let me see if I can find this score real quick. Because it was insane. I'm still in awe of it. Langston beat, I don't even know who this school is. Their initials are SAC. I don't know who it is.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It was 85-6.
Yeah, I heard about that. That's crazy.
Yes,
that's crazy.
Their quarterback put up almost 300 yards of total offense and scored what? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5.
It sounded like LeBron.
6.
Not 6, not 7.
Yeah, not 7. That Bama scored 8 touchdowns by him. Well, he was responsible for scoring 8 touchdowns.
Yeah.
4 in the air, 4 on the ground, with almost 300 yards of total offense.
Wow.
It is insane. And with that said, I will be releasing my Jones Award watch list and contenders list for weeks 4 and 5 tomorrow on herosports.com.
Nice.
You can check out my previews and my predictions on Hero Sports as well. So that article is already up. And then, of course, my watch list for the Jones Award, which, of course, is the Deacon Jones Award for the best college football player in HBCU athletics annually. I'll be releasing that list once again tomorrow on Hero Sports for you to check out.
Nice. Now I'll put a link in the description
Most
to
definitely.
have you check all that.
Thank
Because
you.
I think because we talked about why we want to include HBCU sports on the show, and how you got involved with writing about HBCU sports, because not many people, hell, hardly anybody tells the stories. There's a stories waiting to be told, and it's great stories, and there's a lot of great things happening. Thankfully, HBCUs I found that have more than found their footing nationally in the last recent
Most definitely.
sports,
Yes.
especially football. I mean, when the athletic companies decide to invest more in equipment, i.e. Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, just to name a few, not only just on the D1 FCS level, but also Division II as well with the, well, I know for a fact with the CIAA, because Winston State is an Under Armour school.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's good to see that. It's good to see that investment. It's good to see ESPN capitalizing on that.
Yeah.
Again, what I tell folks, we both tell folks in the past, branding. You got
Branding,
brands.
Yes.
Advertise the shit out of them. And so that's what, thankfully, ESPN's and part and parcel with the SWAC in that regard. And it's good
and the
to
MEAC
see
as
that.
well. They're going to start
MEAC
airing
too,
more
yes.
MEAC games on television soon.
Yes.
Next Friday, we have Morgan State at Howard. Hopefully, I may be able to peek my head in the building over at Green Stadium for that game live and in person. It'll be my first game in person if I'm capable of going over there. If I don't head over to Bowie State's homecoming this weekend.
Gotcha.
But yeah, in terms of it's a combination of the network wanting to broadcast games, because the network, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. ESPN has been wanting to showcase HBCU athletics on their networks for years. It's been more so, and I'm guessing this, because if they're willing, someone has to be hesitant. And of course, my guess is that it's leadership within the respective conferences, and now they're starting to come around and wanted to have more of their games broadcasted, or they have more games broadcasted on the respective networks, and now they're getting that much more exposure. Plus, people are starting to want to see them more on regular television, well, on regular cable, I should say.
Right.
So now, of course, you have the games on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
And you had a game on Sunday night, on Sunday afternoon, actually.
Yeah.
Like I said, this past Sunday with Southern and Mississippi Valley State. Unfortunately, of course, it's going up against the NFL, but it is what it is. But before we move on, I got to say this real quick. It's not that there is a limited amount of voices out there spreading the word about HBCU athletics. I have to big up those that have come before me and my contemporaries out there who are covering HBCU sports at a high level. So of course, first and foremost, the one everyone knows, HBCU Game Day. Shout out to Stephen Gaither, Wally Pitts, and the work that they've been doing and the push that they've been doing in the past, 6-7 years of coverage. And they've been doing dynamic work. Shout out to them. Also, shouts out to HBCUsports.com, Ken Rashad and his guys over there. Shouts out to them. BlackCollegeExperience.com is another great website that does great HBCU coverage. Shout out to them. And then, of course, the OGs, Luke Williams over there at Oneiden.com. And then, of course, oh my God, Mark Gray, who's done wonderful work with Black Sports radio network. They have a I think it's BSRN, and they also broadcast games on Sirius Radio. I'm about to call it XM Radio, but it's Sirius Radio. So yeah, there are a ton of other great entities out there doing great work covering HBCU sports, and I gotta big them up as well. Also, Donald Ware from Box to Row, who's been doing his radio show for well over a decade now. Okay. Yeah, so shouts out to him as well. And then, of course, the OGs that the voices of the game that do a lot of the commentary, from Charlie Neal, the OG, the Hall of Famer.
Tully Carr too, I think, right?
Who was that?
Tully Carr, I think his name. He's
Tully Carr. I called him Wally. It's Tully Carr that's over there with HBCU Game Day. Tully, I do apologize. And then, of course, you got my man Stan Luter, the OG. You hear his voice most definitely all the time when it comes to CIAA basketball tournament time. And he's also done work with ESPN Plus, covering both the MEAC and the CIAA. And of course, Jay Howard, Jay Walker, call him Jay Howard. He's of course the Howard alum that played quarterback. Jay Walker and Tiffany Green over there at ESPN, who do phenomenal work when they cover the games Tiffany as well. Green, yes, also Florida A&M alum. So yeah, most definitely got to shout all of them out for the wonderful work and everything that they do. BlueDeathValley.com that does A&T coverage, as well as my man Dave Horton over there that does coverage for A&T with 24/7 sports.com. There are a lot of great entities out there. Everybody's voice is different. Whenever you get an opportunity, check out as much as you can, as well as mine, and go ahead and get you a great variety of voices on how we cover this great sport, this great entity that we like to cover, that we call HBCU athletics.
And well said, brother. I appreciate you saying that. I'm looking down because I think you mentioned earlier, but speaking of TV and HBCUs, Pine Bluff, Prairie View A&M, tomorrow night, ESPNU at 7:30. So
yes, sir.
Check that out there. And
then Aspire TV, their broadcast, matter of fact, Stan Luter does work with Aspire. Their broadcast of Division II HBCU football starts in about a week or two. If it doesn't start this weekend, it's starting real soon. So check out their scheduling to check and see exactly when their broadcast start for the CIAA this year.
That's what's up. And on that note, I'm glad I was able to get you on to talk about that, because I hadn't been doing a good job of getting you to share your knowledge of this, but I'm glad you said what you said, especially at the end. We're talking about the contributors and everything else. Thank you for that. It's well said. Well said. We should be promoting these cats out here doing it, who's been doing it for a long time. Shout out to the late Bill Nunn as well, who who's actually is a Pro Football Hall of Famer.
Pro Football Hall of Famer, yes,
worked
sir.
for the Steelers as a scout, but before that, he wrote for, I think, the Pittsburgh Courier.
The Pittsburgh Courier, yes, sir.
As he covered HBCU athletics and led and taught the Steelers into allowing him to mine the HBCUs for talent, which produced Joe Deluxe, John Starworth, Donnie Shell, L.C. Greenwood, and a host of others contributed to that dynasty in the 70s.
Yes.
So big ups to the great Bill Nunn as well.
But my God, let me not forget that I'm just doing this real quick. The beat writers for the respective local publications that cover HBCU athletics. Yes, big ups to you. Same thing for the people who cover HBCU athletics on television as well regionally. Shout out to my man Mo Carter down there that covers Alabama A&M. Shout out to Sam Crenshaw, who used to be in Greensboro, who's now down in Atlanta, that covers sports down there. Man, there's so many people. If I haven't shouted you out, it's not that I don't like you or respect your work, because I most definitely do. Yeah. Blame it on time and my old mind and not my heart, because especially if I'm following you, I most definitely got respect for you. So shout out to everybody out there that's covering HBCU athletics, most definitely.
And that's a great way to end this podcast. Giving shouts out to people covering HBCU sports, bringing it to the television, bringing it to the newspapers, bringing it to the website, telling their stories on and on, and supporters. We're trying to do our part and continuing that voice in the podcast space as well. So hopefully we get to talk to more people who cover HBCU athletics in the podcast space going forward. So we're gonna beat that drum. Even if it stops beating, we're going to beat the hell out of something. So anyway, thank y'all for tuning into this podcast. I have fun. Hope you guys have fun with the talk about UC going up against Notre Dame this weekend, as well as the Bengals. I know it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic here in the city. But the Bengals big win over my beleaguered Steelers now. So bring us to Andre Edwards for educating us and bringing that knowledge to us earlier in the podcast. And thank y'all for tuning in to the podcast. Please hit the subscribe button. Please continue to like, share, and comment. That'll help us a lot. Continue to keep up with Dwayne Nash's great work on the Yards to HBCU Sports reps about all things HBCU Sports. SLZE Radio, aka Sleazy Radio, every Tuesday on Facebook Live. The aforementioned HeroSports.com, where he writes about all things SCS athletics, things HBCUs. Like when he puts out new content. We're going to promote that, and I'm going to put the link in the description in the once we upload this baby to YouTube.
As a matter of fact, just put the link to HeroSports.com.
Yes.
Or just go straight to the website, HeroSports.com. Every week, my predictions and my Jones Award list comes out, along with whatever little spices I might spice in throughout the rest of the season as well, because there's going to be a couple of those coming up real soon too. Yes, most definitely. So we're going to do that going forward. We're going to put the HeroSports.com link. We're going to put the HBCUSports.com link. We're going to keep that going. We're going to, it's all about educating the masses on this stuff, right? Yes. It's all about bringing HBCU awareness and everything else to this space and to the viewers out there as well. And one last thing, please get the merch, cafepress.com. Get the merch. There you go. Search for the Clown Time Sports, which also be in the description once I load this to YouTube, and you can find it there as well. So have a good weekend. Get the merch. There you go. Which that voice is going to be in the back of your head if you don't watch it. So on that, take that voice with you to the weekend. Please enjoy the games, college games, pro games. Stay safe. Be cool. We out.